Tonight, we are going to visit the sunken kingdom of Atlantis, the great city which was built by Poseidon himself, which was destroyed in a single day and night by an earthquake and tsunami, taking its advanced civilization down with it, or so the ancient Greeks believed. Now, many people think that Atlantis was just a story made up by the Greek philosopher Plato over 2,000 years ago to illustrate his philosophical points about the dangers of greed, corruption, and hubris. However, more open-minded folks believe there may be some truth behind Plato's tale, that Atlantis really did exist. They just don't know where exactly. There have been many theories about the location of Atlantis over the years, ranging from the coast of Spain to the Greek island of Santorini. What I want to do tonight is share with you an excerpt from a story that was published back in 2013. And this story, though it isn't based on fact, is based on Plato's original description of Atlantis. So, with that said, close your eyes. Let the waves carry you away from this world, to a time before time, to a legend whispered through sea foam and stars. Tonight, you will journey to Atlantis. Not the one of modern fantasy, but the one described by Plato over 2,300 years ago in his writings, the Timaeus and the Critias. He told of a great island beyond the Pillars of Heracles, a land rich with gold, elephants, and powerful kings. Plato, said Atlantis, was born of Poseidon himself, carved from the sea, shaped by divine hand. It was a paradise of gleaming temples with canals like veins of silver and roads that shimmered in moonlight. But even paradise falls to pride. So, tonight, we revisit the lost city of Atlantis, where the ocean meets the sky and ancient secrets never die. Close your eyes and let us begin. You awaken in a strange and wonderful place. Around you stretches a vast and vibrant city. You find yourself standing on a broad avenue paved with white marble and inlaid with precious gems. Over your head towers a magnificent temple, its pillars sculpted with scenes of gods and heroes. Sunlight streams through the open doors, illuminating walls covered in intricate carvings. A gentle breeze whispers through the leaves of exotic trees, heavy with delicious fruit. Exotic birds with brilliant plumage fly overhead, their songs echoing through the avenue. Fountains adorned with graceful statues of nymphs gurgle merrily nearby, and the air thrums with the sound of activity. As you stroll down the avenue, you see citizens of Atlantis going about their daily life. Men and women of various ages dressed in fine linen and gold ornaments walk with purpose, their skin kissed by the sun and their faces etched with wisdom and serenity. Some carry baskets filled with fresh fruit, while others hold tools of trade or lead children by the hand. You notice a group of boys playing a game with a ball, their laughter echoing through the air. Their skill and agility astounds you as they maneuver and pass the ball with ease. Nearby, a craftsman bends over his work, shaping metal with expert precision. His hammer strikes sparks as he creates a beautiful piece of art. As you continue your journey, the sounds of hammers and chisels reach your ear, indicating the presence of other artisans hard at work, creating exquisite pieces. The city of Atlantis hums with life, It's people moving through their days with a sense of purpose and joy. Boom. You turn to your right and spot a majestic palace with towering white walls and ornate golden trim. Its grand entrance beckoning you inside. Curiosity piqued, you decide to explore this magnificent structure. As you step through the entrance, you are greeted by a lavishly decorated courtyard. Lush gardens, adorned with exotic plants and flowers, surround a sparkling pool, its surface reflecting the clear blue sky above. Graceful marble statues stand guard, their presence adding to the courtyard's tranquility. You can hear the soft murmur of voices and the gentle strumming of a lyre. By and following the sound, you come across a group of musicians and dancers practicing in an open pavilion. Oof. Their movements are fluid and graceful, their music harmonious and enchanting. The air vibrates with a rhythm as their feet tap out complex patterns on the stone floor. Bead dancers twirl and leap with effortless elegance, their gestures expressive and captivating. You find yourself drawn into the performance, tapping your feet to the beat. As the dance comes to an end, you notice a young woman with an instrument resting against her shoulder. Her dark hair cascades down her back, framing a face of ethereal beauty. Her eyes sparkle with mirth, and a dimple adorns her left cheek when she smiles. She glances up, catching your gaze, and offers you a warm greeting. And now the memories begin to flood back. You remember who you are, a historian from our time who has traveled back to Atlantis. You recall your mission to experience life in this legendary city firsthand, to learn about its culture, way of life, and the secrets that have endured through the ages. Your heart races as you realize the gravity of your journey. You are in Atlantis, a place spoken of only in legends, a place where time seems to have stood still. Suddenly, the ground beneath your feet begins to tremble. At first, it's a subtle vibration, like the distant rumble of thunder, but it quickly intensifies, growing louder and more violent with each passing moment. The rhythmic crashing of waves fills the air as the ocean surges forward. People scream and run for higher ground. The once calm and tranquil city now teeters on the brink of chaos. Walls crumble, statues topple, and fountains spill their contents onto the streets. The very foundations of Atlantis seem to be coming undone. Amidst the pandemonium, you feel a surge of adrenaline. Fear courses through your veins, but it's overshadowed by an insatiable curiosity. You have witnessed earthquakes before, but this one is unlike any you've ever experienced. The tremors grow stronger, shaking the very core of the earth. The palace walls crumble, sending shards of stone and dust raining down. Amidst the falling debris, you glimpse the once proud columns crashing to the ground, their grandeur reduced to splinters. The once vibrant colors of the murals fade into a dusty gray. The grand entrance, once a symbol of the city's magnificence, now lies in disarray. Its arch broken and its marble strewn. across the courtyard. The ornate golden trim peels away from the palace, revealing the raw, weathered stone. Beneath the fountain, once a centerpiece of serenity, spills its contents in a torrent, mingling with the salty tears streaming down the faces of the fleeing citizens. The harmonious music of the musicians is replaced by the cacophony of crashing waves and terrified screams. The dancers' graceful movements are halted, their expressions frozen in a tableau of fear and despair. The young woman with the lyre drops her instrument, her eyes wide with terror. The once bustling marketplace now resembles a war-torn wasteland. Stalls topple, their colorful wares spilling onto the ground, mingling with shattered pottery and broken tools. The scent of spices and fresh produce gives way to the stench of decay and destruction. What was once a hub of activity and commerce is now a graveyard of broken dreams and shattered lives. The mighty palace, once a symbol of Atlantis' glory, stands in ruins, its grandeur reduced to rubble and dust. The tremors subside, leaving an eerie silence in their wake. The waves recede, revealing a landscape forever changed. Atlantis, the jewel of the ocean, is now a shadow of its former self, its fate hanging precariously in the balance. And in the aftermath of this cataclysmic event, you find yourself amidst the ruins, contemplating the fragility of even the greatest civilization. It is here where you will make the rest of your discoveries, where you will discover what truly happened to Atlantis. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this immersive experience, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to join our community of adventure seekers. We've got many more thrilling stories waiting for you. Tonight we are going to return to the city of Poseidon, the place where the god king married Andromeda. After slaying the sea monster, we will explore its mighty walls and beautiful gardens, swim with the dolphins, and see how mortals lived in perfect harmony with nature, blessed by the gods. Begin a journey at the outer gates of the city, built upon the first ring of land. These are the gates of joy, where the Atlanteans celebrated every sunrise with song and dance. As we pass through, we find ourselves on a broad avenue, shaded by palm trees heavy with ripe fruit. Here merchants from all over the known world came to trade their wares with the Atlanteans. From the east came spices and silk. From the north, rare gems and metals. From the south, strange plants and powders with healing properties. And from the west, stories and ideas carried on the backs of weary travelers who, all along the avenue, merchants displayed their wares beneath colorful awnings. Sailors hawked pearls and coral necklaces. Goldsmiths showed off rings and bracelets made of beaten silver. Perfumers sold perfumes, bottled with flowers. And everywhere, laughter and conversation mixed with the music of lutes and drums. After passing the merchant quarter, we come to the Gardens of the Seahorse, the largest park in the city. Here, fountains sprayed water into the air, which sparkled like diamonds in the sunlight. Paths of white marble ran between rows of cypress trees, orange groves, and rose bushes. In the center of the garden stood a bronze statue of the god Poseidon, riding a magnificent seahorse. His trident upraised, he seemed to be calling forth new life from the sea. Around the base of the statue, the Atlanteans believed that Poseidon had tamed the wild sea so that their city could exist, and they honored him as the supreme god of the natural world. We cross a bridge over a canal filled with lilies, their white blossoms floating on the water like clouds. On the far side, the streets grow quieter and narrower. This is the residential district. Small houses huddled together, painted in shades of blue and green. Their flat roofs are covered with moss and vines. The streets are narrow, winding, leading us deeper and deeper into the city. We can hear the rhythmic slap of water against, the clank of hammers, the shouts of vendors. Everywhere we look, the ocean's bounty is on display. Fish drying in the sun, nets mending, boats being repaired. For the Atlanteans lived by the sea and respected its power. Every building was constructed with the skill of a shipbuilder, and every street had access to the water. Before long, we reach the Temple of Wisdom, where the great scholars of Atlantis gathered each day to study the stars and record their findings. By its walls are adorned with murals depicting the creation of the cosmos, the birth of the first star, the formation of galaxies, the rise and fall of solar systems. Inside, rows of scrolls line the walls, holding the accumulated knowledge of generations past. The Atlanteans believed that wisdom was the key to immortality, and they sought to unlock the secrets of the universe through careful observation and study. Here, under the guidance of the priests, students learned how to read the stars and predict the future. They studied the properties of plants and the healing arts. They discussed the nature of the cosmos and the place of humanity within it. At the end of the avenue, we come to the Grand Library of Atlantis, a vast circular building whose roof is supported by 36 columns, one for each of the Atlantean kings who had ruled since the founding of the city. Within these hallowed halls, the Atlanteans kept records of everything they learned. From the secrets of the stars to the properties of plants to the history of their people, the library was open to everyone, and scholars from all over the known world came to study here. At night, when the moon was full, the Atlanteans would hold festivals in the library, celebrating the power of knowledge and the pursuit of wisdom. But no matter how glorious the Atlanteans made their city, there were still shadows in their paradise. We can sense it as we pass by the outer walls, the jealousy and hunger of the kings who ruled over the land. We can feel it in the palace courtyards where armed guards patrol and nobles plot. For Atlantis was not just a city of light and wisdom. It was also a city of power and ambition. And the kings who ruled over the land were consumed by a single desire to take what was beyond the way. And now we approach the great hall of Poseidon, the seat of the royal court and the center of political power in Atlantis. Built entirely of white marble, The hall is decorated with intricate carvings of sea creatures and mythological monsters. But the most striking feature of the hall is the throne of Poseidon, which is carved in the shape of a giant seahorse. Here, the kings of Atlantis held court and made laws that governed the entire empire. Around a throne, courtiers and advisors whispered and schemed, always seeking to advance their own interests. But above them all, Poseidon's presence was a constant reminder of the divine order that held the universe together. For the Atlanteans believed that their kings were chosen by Poseidon himself to rule over his people, and they were expected to govern wisely and justly. If they failed to do so, they risked incurring the wrath of the gods. But not all was well in Atlantis. The kings, consumed by their own power, had become tyrants. They oppressed their people and wasted the city's resources on endless wars and pointless displays of wealth. And now, the citizens of Atlantis have had enough to gather in the town square, demanding that the kings be overthrown and replaced with new leaders who will restore order and justice to the city. But the kings, backed by their bodyguards, refuse to budge. And soon, the crowd is chanting for war, calling for the army to crush the rebellion and restore the old order. But as the tension grows, we can sense that something is coming to an end. And now we approach the Temple of Poseidon, the holiest place in all of Atlantis, standing in the very center of the city. The temple is surrounded by a high wall and guarded by armed priests. Only the purest of heart are allowed to enter. Inside, the temple is filled with treasures from around the world, including the legendary trident of Poseidon, which is said to have the power to control the seas. The priests believe that Poseidon himself watches over the temple, waiting to punish those who would defile his sacred place. But despite the danger, people come from all over Atlantis to pray at the temple, hoping for Poseidon's blessing. Some come to seek guidance, others to confess their sins, and still others to simply experience the presence of the divine. As we enter the temple, we can feel the weight of centuries of devotion all around us. We can see the scars left by lightning strikes and earthquakes, but also the fresh flowers and incense used in recent ceremonies. Yet even here, the shadow of the king's madness creeps in. We hear rumors that they plan to plunder the temple, seizing Poseidon's trident for themselves. And now we are standing before the entrance to the inner sanctum, the most sacred place in the temple, where Poseidon's trident is kept. Two priests stand guard, their eyes filled with determination. They will defend the trident with their lives if necessary. But as we step inside, the kings have already struck, their soldiers standing over the fallen priest. The trident lies on the ground, its tip broken off. The kings have seized the trident, believing it will give them ultimate power over the seas. As they make their way through the city, we can see that their victory is short-lived. People hurl insults and rocks, trying to stop them. Others flee, hiding in their homes. The kings are trapped in a city they no longer control. The kings fled the city in terror, leaving behind the crumbling remains of their empire. Now the streets are empty, the buildings are deserted, and the only sound that can be heard is the mournful cry of the seagulls. Bye. As we walk through the ruins, we can sense that something is watching us. Something ancient and powerful. Could it be Poseidon, returning to reclaim his stolen trident? Or is it the spirits of the Atlanteans, forever bound to their drowned city? If you enjoyed this episode and would like to see more adventures in the world of Atlantis, please let me know. Your support would mean the world to me. Part 3. The Fall Beneath the Wave. Atlantis and her people had defied the balance, exploited their gifts, and manipulated the world. The Council of Elders had known they were playing a dangerous game, but the seduction of power is a heady one. They'd grown complacent, secure in the knowledge that the Guardians would never allow them to be destroyed. But balance is not a static thing. It is a living force. Just as winter must come after summer, light must follow darkness, and the tides must ebb and flow. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. For every gift, a price. And the balance had been tipped too far. So the earth shook, the oceans rose, and the world shuddered as the seas. Her mother and her judge came to punish Atlantis. The ocean's wrath took many forms. Earthquakes cracked the marble roads and toppled the great Kingsway. Fountains that once sang with mirth now gushed with muddy water. Tidal waves crashed over the harbor, drowning the proud Atlantean ships. It was as if the very city itself was rising up in rebellion against her own decadence. Even the animals, usually so docile and gentle, turned savage and unleashed their fury on the city. Giant crabs scuttled through the streets, snapping at ankles and tearing at ropes. Enormous eels slithered through the sewers, biting at hands and dragging victims down into the dark. Fish, bloated and vicious, flopped on the ground, their gills rasping as they hacked at faces and gouged out eyes. Huge squid with tentacles like thick pythons smashed windows and snatched screaming children from their beds. Chillyfish with stinging cells pulsed serenely as they paralyzed citizens and blocked their paths. Giant clams clamped down on fingers and sucked unwary victims into their gaping maws. Crabs scuttled sideways, pinching and crushing. Dolphins beaked and raked, while monstrous sharks with rows of razor-sharp teeth rampaged through the canals. Terrified citizens fled inland, away from the coastal onslaught. But it was a hopeless escape. The wrath of the oceans followed them. Torrential rains flooded the interior, turning the palace gardens into stinking swamps. Rivers overflowed, and streams turned into raging torrents that swept all before them. Entire families were washed away, swept down to join the fishes and become one with the coral. Victims clung to wreckage, desperately paddling towards land, only to be snatched away by unseen things and pulled under the waves. People huddled together on rooftops, watching in horror as wave after wave crashed over them, taking more and more until the rooftops were empty and the only sound was the mournful cry of the wind. It all happened so fast that no one had time to pray to Poseid, no time to call upon the Guardians for aid. Even if they had, the Guardians could do nothing. This was not a war they could join. They had walked away from the tide ebbing and flowing, and had been caught unaware when the waters rose to engulf them. This was the price of their arrogance, the penalty for forgetting who had given them their gifts. And none knew better than Coralia how terrible the ocean's anger could be. She had seen entire cities swallowed whole by whirlpools, had watched as tsunamis as tall as mountains rolled across the horizon, ending entire civilizations. And she saw now that Atlantis was about to meet the same fate. Or was this really the end? Was the world really destined to lose another paradise? Or did the priests know something the others didn't? Maybe they'd gambled everything on a last-minute miracle. Now, old memories stirred within Coraline. Memories of long ago when she'd been young and full of hope, when she and her brother had dreamed of saving Atlantis together. Back then, the priests had taught them about the sleep spell, an ancient and powerful magic that could preserve anything. But as long as the universe itself endured, the spell had been passed down from the first priestesses and had slumbered for centuries, used only twice, each time to safeguard a piece of history so precious it couldn't be allowed to be lost. Bide demanded an immense price, even more so if used to save an entire city. It was said that the cost was so great, most Atlanteans believed it to be nothing more than a myth. Coraline had heard different stories of secret rituals, forbidden incantations and sacrifices that transcended even death itself. If anyone could pay such a price, Coraline thought, it's him. But would he gamble his soul to save the city or abandon it to its fate? A frantic search was launched for the Oracle, the keeper of Atlantis's history. Her chamber was in the Temple of the Ancients, deep in the underwater gardens where light struggled to penetrate the surface. Lush seaweed forests grew in tangled masses, swaying gently in the current and hiding countless treasures in their fronds. Schools of silverfish darted between the kelp, flashing scales like scattered jewels. Here the Oracle spent most of her time, communing with the spirits of the deep and uncovering the secrets held in ancient ruins. But when the priests arrived, she wasn't there. In fact, no one had seen her for days, ever since the tremors had begun, and the Guardian's power waned. The priests split up, determined to find her, dead or alive. The Oracle had been missing when the tremors first struck, and the priests suspected that she had foreseen what was coming and had fled, abandoning the city to its fate. But perhaps she had gone in search of a way to save it. Meanwhile, the floods continued. The earthquakes grew stronger, and the tidal waves crashed over the city. Panic spread among the Atlanteans. More and more citizens fled inland, abandoning their homes and possessions, huddling together in the oldest parts of the city where the buildings were strongest. And still they waited for the Oracle, for any sign of salvation. The oceans showed no mercy, and the rain fell relentlessly, soaking, freezing, and drowning. Soon, the Atlanteans had nowhere left to go. One by one, The buildings were breached. The foundations crumbled and the walls collapsed. Wave after wave crashed over the city, sweeping away everything before them. Nothing stood against the onslaught of the seas. All they could do was wait, pray, and hope for a miracle. And then she came. The oracle burst out of the temple of the ancients, her hair streaming behind her like a banner. Her eyes shone with otherworldly fire, and her voice rang with an ancient power. Breathe. She raised her arms and cried out to the heavens, calling upon all the spirits of the deep to hear her plea. At the same time, the oracle began to chant in a language older than time itself. Words of power that resonated with the very essence of the oceans, binding the seas, the earth, and the sky. But it wasn't just the oracle. All around her, priests and priestesses were emerging from the temples, each chanting in unison, their voices blending in perfect harmony. Together, they formed a chorus of unimaginable power. Their combined energy crackled in the air, forming a brilliant, blinding light that shot straight into the sky. As one, the Atlanteans bowed their heads and prepared for the sacrifice. Dai knew what the oracle had called for. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the storm abated. The earthquakes ceased. The tidal waves withdrew, and the rain stopped. Pregnant silence settled over Atlantis, broken only by the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. Not a soul moved, not a sound was heard. The oracle reached down and picked up the object, turning it over in her hands. It was a crown, exquisite and ethereal, crafted from coral and pearls. But that wasn't all. As the oracle held it aloft, the crown glowed with brilliant light, banishing the gloom and illuminating the entire city. And with it, the oracle saw the answer. She understood what the dolphin had brought her. It wasn't just a crown. It was a symbol, proof that the city had been saved. For now, for thousands of years, the existence of the legendary island kingdom of Atlantis has been a mystery. Was it a historical place, or was it just a myth created by the Greek philosopher Plato? There have been many theories about the location of Atlantis, but none have been proven. That hasn't stopped people from searching, though. Many believe that the key to finding Atlantis lies hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to decipher its secret. With so much speculation surrounding this lost civilization, you might be wondering what the latest news on the discovery of Atlantis is. Are we any closer to solving this enduring mystery? In this episode of Fake Tank Facts, we will talk about some locations that may be the real Atlantis. Make sure to watch till the end, as some of these places may leave you surprised. So grab a snack and get ready for an adventure as we explore these fascinating findings and uncover the truth behind the legend of Atlantis. The Atlantic Ocean is home to many mysteries, one of which is the infamous Atlantis. Could this lost city actually lie somewhere beneath the waves off the coast of Greece? Recent discoveries suggest there may be something to this theory. According to Plato, Atlantis was swallowed by the sea 9,000 years before his time, around 360 BC. He described it as a powerful naval force that threatened Athens, but ultimately met its demise after becoming corrupt and overreaching. Though written thousands of years ago, many believe his description could hold clues to where Atlantis truly lay. Many historians agree that Atlantis wasn't entirely fictional and must have been based on a real place. If so, then where did it go? Some say it sank into the Aegean Sea near Santorini. A massive volcanic eruption here around 1600 BC could have caused massive earthquakes, tidal waves, and widespread destruction throughout the region, leading to entire cities being wiped out beneath the earth. Could this have been the end of Atlantis? Well, according to Plato's writings, he described Atlantis as being surrounded by water on all sides, which makes sense if you think about it. The Aegean Sea is full of islands that could easily match his description. Another piece of evidence pointing towards this area is that ancient Greek historian who mentioned an island called Opusa, located in the Atlantic Ocean between the Strait of Gibraltar and the Canary Islands. Opusa was said to be inhabited by giants and other fantastic creatures, as well as having a rich supply of gold and precious metals. This sounds strikingly similar to Plato's description of Atlantis, and suggests that it may have been located somewhere around this area. But, unfortunately, no trace of such an island can be found today. Perhaps it did exist, but sank beneath the waves, or perhaps it was nothing more than a myth passed down through generations. We may never know for sure. However, one thing is certain. The legend of Atlantis continues to capture our imaginations and inspire explorers to search for answers, even after all these years. Plato claimed that Atlantis was situated in the Atlantic Ocean, not too far from the Strait of Gibraltar, yet it remained undiscovered until now. Could the real Atlantis be hiding in plain sight? Well, one recent discovery has reignited interest in this age-old mystery. Explorers have found strange geometric formations on the seabed off the coast of Portugal that they believe could be part of the lost city. These structures resemble the circular design mentioned by Plato in his writings, suggesting that they may have originated from the same culture that built it. While many remain skeptical, there are those who argue that these newfound ruins could be evidence of Atlantean architecture. What do you think? Could this be the first tangible link we have found to the legendary lost city? Or are we once again chasing shadows and myth? Only time will tell as civilization. The Great Pyramid of Giza has long been a source of fascination and mystery, leaving many to wonder about its true purpose and origin. What if it holds the key to uncovering the secrets of Atlantis as well? According to Plato, the Atlanteans were known for their advanced knowledge and understanding of geometry, with particular emphasis on the number 5. Intriguingly, the internal passages of the pyramid form 5 sets of tunnels, each containing 5 chambers. This numerical pattern aligns with Atlantean beliefs and could suggest a connection between them and this enigmatic structure. Moreover, recent studies have revealed that the Giza Plateau was once part of a much larger network of pyramids, temples, and other structures. This suggests that the area may have served as a sacred complex dedicated to the worship of the divine. Which purpose that aligns with what little we know about Atlantean society and religion. Could the Great Pyramid of Giza be a physical manifestation of the wisdom and teachings of Atlantis? Or is it merely a coincidence that two ancient cultures share similar beliefs and architectural styles? The answer remains elusive, but the possibility is intriguing nonetheless. Further research and exploration of both the pyramid and Atlantean history may shed light on this captivating mystery. The Black Sea off the coast of Turkey and Bulgaria is an area that few dare to explore due to its unpredictable waters and rough terrain. Yet it is precisely this remote location that has captured the attention of many Atlantis seekers. Legend has it that the lost city once thrived in these waters, hidden away from prying eye. Could this be the reason why so many clues have eluded us for centuries? Proponents of this theory point to several intriguing pieces of evidence. First, the Black Sea's unique geography resembles Plato's description of Atlantis being surrounded by water on all sides, yet still accessible from the open sea. Additionally, recent sonar scans have revealed mysterious geometric shapes on the seabed, leading some to believe they could be remnants of Atlantean construction. However, perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from within the sea itself, where underwater archaeologists have discovered artifacts that date back thousands of years. These findings suggest that there may have been human activity in the Black Sea long before recorded history, hinting at a civilization capable of great engineering feats and advanced technology. Could this be the missing link we've been searching for all along? Only time and further exploration will tell. The Bahamas are a popular vacation spot, known for their crystal-clear waters and luxurious resorts. But what many visitors don't realize is that beneath the surface lies a secret that could change history forever. Could this archipelago of islands actually be the legendary lost city of Atlantis? It all started when a team of explorers discovered a submerged rock formation known as the Bimini Road. The strange thing about this structure is that it looks remarkably similar to ancient Egyptian ruins. This suggests that there may have been a civilization living in the Bahamas thousands of years ago, one that had access to advanced technology and engineering technique. What's more, recent genetic studies have revealed that the indigenous people of the Bahamas have a genetic lineage that can be traced back to ancient Egypt. This lends credence to the theory that Egyptians may have sailed across the Atlantic Ocean and settled in the Bahamas long before Christopher Columbus arrived. If this is true, then it is possible that the Bimini Road could be the only remaining evidence of their presence in North America. Further excavations and research are needed to confirm these findings. But one thing is certain. The mystery of Atlantis continues to captivate explorers and scientists alike. In the heart of Spain's Extremadura region lies an ancient megalithic site that has been shrouded in mystery and speculation for centuries. Known as the Maltreviso Rings, this collection of circular structures resembles the rings of Atlantis described by Plato in his philosophical work Republic. The timing couldn't be more perfect. Historians believe that these rings date back to around 2500 BC, which aligns with Plato's account of Atlantis existing 9,000 years before his time. Furthermore, recent excavations have uncovered artifacts, such as pottery and tools, that suggest a sophisticated level of craftsmanship and technology Could this be evidence of an advanced civilization that existed in Europe long before recorded history? While mainstream historians remain skeptical, many believe that the Maltravieso rings could be the remnants of Atlantis, or at the very least, connected to its mysterious past. With ongoing excavations and new technologies, we may soon have answers that could change everything we know about human history. What do you think? Do any of these locations seem like a likely candidate for the real Atlantis? Let us know in the comments below. You stand at the water's edge. Be sea still, but you feel something stirring beneath it. Not a warning, but a welcome. Atlantis was never about geography. It lives within the soul of the seeker, the artist, the mystic, the child. Perhaps you were Atlantean once, in another life, another dream. And this story is your memory returning. Be the salt on your skin, the starlight on white stone, the music of waves through conch shells. Atlantis sleeps not in the sea, but in the silence before sleep, in the space between breaths. This moment when the world is yours, the city is yours. You can almost taste the moonlight on the tip of your tongue. Feel its cold fire in your veins. A heartbeat from the ocean's heart. A breath from the lungs of the deep. The rhythm of the tides is the song of the spheres. The music of the spheres. Can you hear it? Can you feel it? Tonight, the journey ends. By the city fades into mist, but you are still drifting, still dreaming high, and Atlantis is dreaming. Be here in the timeless, ageless realm of spirit, where the soul is set free to roam, to seek, to find. Here where the guardians of the threshold stand, serene, smiling, welcoming. Here where the river of light divides the darkness into fragments of fleeting dreams. Here where the stars are born, and a veil between worlds is spun from moonlight and memories. Here in the city of your dreams, where sapphire seas reflect amethyst skies and diamond stars, where crystal towers touch the clouds and coral castles gleam beneath the waves. Here where the sun sets in the east and rises in the west, where day is night and time stands still, where all is one and one is all. Here in the city of your dreams, you are home. Sleep well, dream deep. Let the city of your dreams be your guide. Let the music of the spheres be your song. Let the starlight be your path. So go now, little dreamer, and dream your dreams. For in the city of your dreams, anything is possible. Everything is perfect. You are loved.